Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Uh, Today, I'm going to start with our first lecture on the first chapter for this particular course, Strategic Management, or the code is MGT657. I'm sorry. These are the learning objectives that we are trying to accomplish by the end of this chapter. So there are several learning objectives that we want to achieve. Daripada describe the strategic management process, discuss the three stages of strategic formulation, implementation, evaluation, and then we will continue up until discuss the connection between business and military strategy. So let us start by reciting dua first lah, insyaAllah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. This is the basic definition of strategic management. It is an art and science of formulating, implementing, and evaluating cross-functional decisions that enable an organization to achieve its objectives. Why do we embedded the element of art into the definition of strategic management? Because sometimes you need some sort of creativity in terms of identifying strategies that we are going to implement. And sometimes when we go into a real life situation, the strategy that we have implemented in one company might not be applicable, or it might not work when we try to apply that into a different company because of so many reasons. And we use the term science in terms of formulating, implementing, and evaluating cross-functional decisions, because when it comes to science, meaning that it is a procedural stage. It is a step after another, that a sequence of steps that we need to follow before we can arrive to the final decision. So when we try to apply this into your group project, of course, we need to start off with identifying the vision and mission. That is the most important part. You need to understand what is the vision and mission of that particular organization. So kalau dia tak ada, you need to create one. And then in order to fulfill that vision and mission, we need to understand the operating environment of the company. We need to understand what are the internal resources in terms of their strengths and weaknesses, and at the same time we also need to analyze the external environment, the opportunities and threats. And then from there, we are going to use different models, different tools before we can arrive to our final decision. For example, if you are talking about a company who intends to pursue internationalization strategy, they want to go market development strategy, they want to venture into another country, for example. And then at the same time, another option is for them to penetrate the internal market in their home countries. So before they can decide which of these decisions would be suitable for that particular company, we need to understand the operating environment first. What are the strengths that they have, and then what are the opportunities being presented to them, and then using the IFE and EFE metrics that we are going to explore in chapter 3 and chapter 4, topic 3 and topic 4, we would help this company to arrive to their final decision, which of this strategy that would be best suited for this organization to pursue. Because of why? Because as an organization, there is always an opportunity cost. There is no way that we can implement everything. Kadang-kadang kita pun in our real life situation also, sometimes we have limited resources. So based on this limitation of resources or availability of the resources that we have, we need to decide which of the things that we can buy first. And then we are going to prioritize which are the things that we are going to buy later. These are the stages of the strategic management that you must remember. It must be on your fingertips. The first one is strategy formulation, which is also considered as the most important stage dalam strategic management. Kenapa it is the most important? Because this is the stage where you need to discuss and decide in terms of the vision, the mission, and then in terms of kita boleh tengok kat sini kan, in terms of identifying the SWOTs, and then we need to identify the long-term objective, and then we need to identify the alternative strategies, and then we need to choose a particular strategies for us to pursue. The second stage is the strategic implementation. This is where the actual works are going to take place. And in terms of the categorical, this stage is considered as the most difficult stage in strategic management. Why it is considered as the most difficult stage? Because sometimes when we talk about different organization, large organization, the persons who are going to be involved dalam strategic formulation would be different than the persons who are going to implement the strategy. So in terms of the continuation of the phase 2 pun sometimes can create another problem, because there might be some miscommunication in terms of what are the things that the organizations are trying to fulfill, and then in the strategy implementation also we are dealing with different issues of limited resources, and the top management wants this but we don't have the manpower. So what are the things that we must do? And then dalam strategy implementation pula, bila kita cakap pasal nak go internationalization, so dari segi implementation nak kena set up office, nak kena hire new employees dekat overseas. So that can create another level of difficulty. And then we have a strategic evaluation ataupun strategic monitoring. Why do we need to monitor? Because sometimes things happen, changes are being made. Kan, kita formulate strategi awal tahun, kan, bila pertengahan tahun, macam tahun ni bulan 3 tiba-tiba we are being faced with issues of COVID-19, so kita nak kena ubah. So bila kita nak kena ubah, the evaluation process also needs to be changed. And when we talk about playing a football match, for example, and sometimes, yes, the most important part, strategic formulation, we are going to think of a strategy, the formation 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 5-3-2, the formation that we are going to play on, and during a football match. Kita buat benda tu semua in advance, even prior to the game pun we have already decided. And then when the strategic implementation, ada seorang player tak boleh datang, striker tak boleh datang, goalkeeper ke tak boleh datang, then the game is still on, but you need to strategize on how are we going to implement this. And sometimes we have a lot more resources. Kita ada 4-5 orang yang boleh main striker. So which of the striker yang kita nak suruh main defend dan sebagainya. So we are going to change a little bit in terms of the formation. And then bila berlaku kad merah, kad kuning dan sebagainya, kena keluar injury or whatever, so you need to monitor and then you need to react, and with all the changes that are happening. So these are some of the decisions that we are going to be dealing with when it comes to strategic formulation. Alright, now we go into the strategic implementation. I already informed you that this is the most difficult part, because it involves in terms of establishing annual objectives, devise policy, motivate employees, allocate resources, so that formulated strategies can be executed. Dealing with people in terms of motivating employees, that is the most difficult part as well, and because people with different backgrounds, different upbringings, and different motivation, and sometimes they have different motivational factor. And to ask someone who has been working in one particular state, for example in Shah Alam, and then tiba-tiba kita nak kena bagi tahu dia, okay, next week you have to move to Melaka, it is not that easy. And so you need to have some sort of leadership skills in order for you to be able to motivate employees. And then we need to devise the policy that would be suited in order for us to achieve that particular objective ataupun kita punya vision and mission. And like I said earlier on, allocation of resources is kind of another important aspect dalam strategic implementation. This is also called as the action stage. Strategic evaluation, determining which strategies are not working well, and then you need to adapt and respond. And if you don't do this strategic evaluation, you cannot monitor how affected is your organization based on the changes that is happening in our surrounding environment. The competitors, they are always keep on changing in terms of the strategies, products and whatnot. And if we don't change, there is no way that we can compete. And kita ambil macam UiTM and Taylor College lah, for example. Like 2 or 3 years ago, in terms of the ranking, UiTM punya program kan, kita bukan nak menidakkan, nak menurunkan, tidak, but this is reality. Kan, UiTM punya ranking dengan Taylor College, we are far ahead of them. And but look at the current ranking of the university. Where is Taylor's College at the moment? They are quite above us in terms of the programs, code subjects that they are offering to the students. So now we are adapting and we are reflecting and we are responsive to the changes. So UiTM have revised balik kita punya curriculum review in terms of the textbook. Tu sebab sekarang ramai buku, banyak buku kod yang kita dah gunakan e-book dan sebagainya, supaya student kita pun lebih current in terms of the content materials that we are going to share with the students. There are several key terms dalam strategic management. Competitive advantage, yang ni kita akan gunakan interchangeably many times. And any activity a firm does especially well as compared to activities done by rival firms. Any resource a firm possess that rival firms desire. For example, kita ambil macam kita buat intellectual property copyright, for example. We have a copyright for that particular system, process, or whatever. So that orang lain tak boleh nak copycat. If they want to use the same system, they need to buy them from us. Macam what Microsoft has done, Apple has done dengan dia punya iOS, and there is no other phone company that can use that particular system. That is considered as a competitive advantage, and that's why they are still doing well ahead of the competitors. And then any activity a firm does especially well as compared to activities done by rival firms. Kita ambil cendol kampung ulu lah, for example. And now one of the biggest competitive advantage, kalau dulu is the shave ice. Dia punya santan tu shave ice santan. Tapi sekarang ni sebab diorang tak copyrightkan benda tu, dia tak patentkan benda tu, orang lain dah mula banyak dah buat. Dekat saya pergi kat Seremban hari tu pun saya tengok ada. Tapi rasa dia tetap tak sama. So maybe in terms of the ingredient tu yang special, yang buat rasa dia sama, yang berbeza dengan yang lain. And maybe perhaps another competitive advantage for cendol kampung ulu in terms of location. Duduk tepi sungai, relax. So it's different environment lah, different ambience that you can experience. A firm must strive to achieve sustained competitive advantage. Kenapa? Sebab when you own that competitive advantage, you are ahead of the competitors. Strategies, individual most responsible for the success, it could be anyone. And then vision and mission. Vision, answer the question, what do we want to become? Mission, answer the question, what is our business? And what do we want to become in the next 5 years? That is a vision. Dia lebih panjang. Kita punya vision nak become this and this and this. And then mission statement, answer the question, what is our business? Sama ada the type of products, the type of services, and then the way that we deal with the customers. Yang ni nanti kita akan discuss secara lebih detail lah, insyaAllah. And then key terms in the strategic management, kita ada, these are all the SWOTs lah. External opportunities and threats. Nanti bila korang nak buat SWOTs, you can look into this element. Mana satu elemen yang relevan untuk kita jadikan dia sebagai opportunity dan juga threats. Then when it comes to internal strength and weaknesses, and it would come from these elements. Bila cakap pasal internal strengths and weaknesses, the main idea is controllable. That is the main key. Meaning that you can pick that element, you can remove. You can pick that element and you can train and improve. So that is controllable element. And all of these element, external ones, are all uncontrollable. So these are some of the opportunities and threats yang ada, yang you guys can look into that later. So I will stop here first and we will continue in the next video.